Ryan and I would both be very, very happy if at the time we die, we're saying to our children, oh, hey, what was production like today at the distillery?
We can build upon the show. We'll follow every song until we go. Get the tide wash us all home. We'll follow every sign to a new oasis right for everyone.
In doing some digging and background research, discovered that the Rieger name actually dated back to the 1880s in Kansas City with J. Rieger and Company whiskey distillery, and immediately became fascinated with the idea of trying to revive that brand, which died in 1919 due to Prohibition. We wanted to do something that was, even though we're bringing back an old brand, we wanted to do something that was also new and innovative at the same time. So we kind of had to strike a harmony there between those two things. We don't know the original recipe of Rieger Monogram whiskey, but in doing research in what kind of whiskey people drank at the time, we've been able to do something that we feel is one of a kind, completely unique, and it also pays tribute and homage to the original company. For a company to have become nationally known, nationally distributed at that time and becoming a very successful company, so much so that the founder's son then built a hotel at 20th and Main Street to coincide with the opening of Union Station. I mean, they had a lot of impact on the city, and bringing back a company like that, to me personally, it's a lot more of a success story than it is really trying to start something new from scratch. I mean, yeah, we are a new business, but having that connection to history just adds a lot of credibility and a lot of authenticity to it.
If we called it warehouse whiskey, we could tell people that, oh yeah, it's because it's in an old warehouse. That's where we make the whiskey, and that's the story. I mean, that's about as clever as you can get, is just something silly like that. But when you have history, I mean, we have bottles of whiskey that are over 100 years old from the original distillery. We own the original trademark that the distillery operated under throughout the years prior to Prohibition.
I think it's important that we don't forget where we come from. We want to be big, we want to expand, but we want to stay true to Kansas City and take pride in that, and we always want people from KC to appreciate that and recognize that.
We're trying to be known as the distillery that makes really good, high-quality products that can be known as Kansas City's distillery, so that people get to have a sense of pride in this city. And then ultimately, our business is to eventually go to the national market.
We've also been able to classify it as Kansas City whiskey. So it's not just that it's a local company, it's not just that it's made in Kansas City or blended in Kansas City, but the recipe itself is so unique that we feel like giving it the title Kansas City whiskey actually is a statement as to the recipe that's in the bottle.
And our goal is to make those people that are interested in making their own sherry-infused whiskeys called Kansas City whiskey, so that someday the federal government will establish a parameter almost for how they classify whiskey that uses sherry in the final blend. And that's what we want them to legally recognize as Kansas City whiskey someday.
I think there's a really strong sense of civic pride in Kansas City. Like most cities, I think people are going to latch on to something that's local and homegrown, and there's a sense of pride in that. So it would be really easy, I think, to initially generate a lot of excitement, and all that would result in sales because it's local. But the most important thing was that what we put in the bottle was really, really good. That was number one priority. I mean, we've got a great story, we've got a great history. We're going to rally people in Kansas City to get behind it. But if it isn't good, that'll fizzle pretty fast. I don't really know how to describe it or define it differently from other cities, but there is a true sense of people in our industry here and in Kansas City in general are excited to welcome people in from other cities and say, hey, check out what we're doing.